Welcome to this edition of Miles Ahead. I'm going to start with a couple of apologies this time because I've been struck down with hay fever, so I sound like a teenage boy whose voice is breaking. And also, I've had this car for a week and it is a little bit dirty. I've had some comments with previous videos that the car's been dirty. We'll get along to it later on, but we've covered well over 600 miles in this car this week. It's been extensively used, enjoyed having it. So hopefully the trade-off for looking at a dirty car is that you will get a slightly better informed review than you would otherwise have had. But anyway, let's launch in. Of course, this is the Alfa Romeo Stelvio, the car that Alfa Romeo launched a few years ago to compete in the always popular SUV market. So we're here to find out if it's any good or not. So this is the range-topping Veloce. They of course do go up to the Quadrifoglio version, which is the absolutely nut job Ferrari V6 engines, 0 to 60 3.8 version. This is the quickest or range-topping of the more sensible road-going version. So it starts at £49,765. This has got a couple of options on it which bring the price to £52,500 there or thereabouts. So the first option that you may have noticed is this rather striking Misano Blue paintwork. Now that was the first thing that caught my eye. I think all cars look better in dark blue, and this looks absolutely great in that blue. You know, you couldn't miss it, and I think it stands out in a really positive way for that. Got these lovely headlights, the adaptive full beam and that sort of stuff works really well on this as we come round. So these are the standard 20-inch steady dark V-spoke wheels, as they're called. I think they're quite fetching. As you can see, it's not got the biggest brakes in the world, but we'll touch upon that again on the drive along. Got Veloce badging on the side there. As we come down, it's got tinted windows as standard. Then we mentioned this with the Bentley Bentayga in that review a couple of weeks ago. Pointing out the wing mirrors, not normally something I'll go in for, but they're nice big wing mirrors. You get a nice view of what's going on behind you, and this does come with blind spot assist, so that is £1,000 part of the driver assist package. I would recommend that because, as you can see from this bit of the car here, it does create a bit of a blind spot when you are, looking around on the motorway and that sort of thing. And that gives you the parking sensors and the rearward facing camera as well, which is definitely useful when you're trying to traverse in and out of tight spaces and the like. But as we come around, I think it's got quite a handsome profile as we come around to the rear. Actually, I think, one thing you can say about this car is it's a good looking car, and you don't necessarily need to asterisk that for an SUV. I think it is just a good looking car. I think they've done a really good job on it. You can see the twin exhausts at the back. They are just surrounds. The real exhaust you can see poking out the back there. It's got a Q4 badge, which Alfa Romeo puts on all its four-wheel drive cars, so this is no different. You also get the tinted rear windows as well, and while we're here we'll have a quick look in the boots. You get the automatic tailgate as well as part of that driver assistance pack. Not the quickest automatic tailgate you will ever see, but it being an SUV, there is a plenty big enough boot. They got subwoofer in the back here as well, which comes as part of the Harman Kardon stereo pack, which is an optional extra. This thing's about 700 quid, so that all goes in as well. So yeah, as you'd expect, very practical, and yeah, I just think it's a really good looking car, and I love the colour. I know you shouldn't just judge a car in its colour, but that is a fantastic colour. But anyway, let's see what it's like inside. So, what's it like inside the Stelvio? It's actually quite nice. So, there's a bit of room in the back. There's not a great deal going on in there. Seats, seat belts, Isofix, a couple of USB charging ports. But up here, it's very nice. Nice leather dash around here, leather sports steering wheel as well on this. And one good feature. So, normally, where'd you put your key? Because gone are the days of sticking a key in the ignition and turning it. They've created a slot for it in there, which is good. Coming into the centre console here, so there is a wireless charging port there, 12-volt battery, USB and USB-C and AUX. They have covered all bases in that respect. There's also a USB port at the top there and another 12-volt battery in there with the cup holders, which are covered quite nicely by this sort of plastic here. I don't know, it's supposed to look like carbon fibre perhaps, but yeah, this thing on here anyway. So yeah, that keeps everything nicely concealed. So if we start it up, we can have a quick look at the infotainment as well. And while I'm here, I will apologise for the sort of insect graveyard that the windscreen has become over the course of this week. But yeah, when we get in here, so they've done quite a clever job with this actually. So if you're not a big fan of touchscreen, they also have this massive wheel down here, which you can control everything through there, because this isn't the biggest touchscreen unit in the world, but it's got everything on there that you'd need and want to get through. Tells you which driving mode you're cycling through, radio stations and all that sort of stuff, and then you can use this this wheel as well to work your way through everything as well, which is quite good. So we'll quickly come around to the steering wheel. It's probably the last point to mention. So yeah, plenty of buttons and usability on here. So you've got your adaptive cruise control, set the distance of the car in front, lane keep assist on and off, all that sort of stuff. It's got hill descent control there as well, and then you volume knob, all that, and the start-stop button is here. So the only other thing from the driving position to mention, of course, you may well have noticed, is these whopping great big paddle shifters behind the dash here. So I mean, they look great. They're, you know, quality addition, you know, metal there, so they're not just sort of like plastic add-ons you get in some cars. The only thing is they did take a little bit getting used to, because when you go to indicate or flash or do something down there, they do sort of get in the way a little bit, but they're quite a nice touch. So if you do want to flick it into manual and throw it around a bit, then it's quite responsive. I've found myself leaving it in auto most of the time because I find that they tend to do a better job than I do. But all in all, this is a very comfortable place to be. The seats are really nice. I'd suggest if I was slightly larger, these supports bits, did take a couple of drives just to sort of get into the swing, because I was like constantly trying to work out how to slacken them off, but you can't. So you're stuck with them. But you've got adjustable lumbar support, and the seat ride height, and it is very adjustable and all that sort of thing. So, you know, all in all, very comfortable place to be. So let's see what it's like to drive. So what's the Alfa Romeo Stelvio out like on the road? We'll have a listen to that exhaust note first. So you don't get too much intrusion in the cabin from that 2-litre inline-4 engine, but it's quite responsive and quite nippy. This really is the direction Travel Alfa have gone with the Stelvio to make it stand out in the SUV crowd, is that they've done everything they can to make it feel like a car. I mean, you could kid yourself if you want that you're driving a saloon at times. Get quite a nice low driving position. The steering response is incredibly sharp. In fact, so sharp that it takes a little bit of getting used to. Sometimes you go and oh my word, it doesn't take much to get it turning at all. One other complaint about the inputs, but not that I was complaining about the steering, actually, I quite like it. But with the accelerator, you have to jab it quite hard. You have to be quite authoritative with the accelerator pedal to get it to move. So had one change lane on the motorway, just get out of the middle lane to go to the outside lane, just feathered the throttle and nothing happened, and then you've got someone coming behind you quite quickly who's a little bit upset. So you have to be assertive with that throttle pedal, and likewise with the brakes. This car doesn't have the biggest brakes in the world, so yeah, just something to be wary of. Again, you need to be quite assertive with that as well. But otherwise, I mean, the driving experience is good. I've done a lot of driving in this car for the week I've had it. I went up to Birmingham to watch the cricket. That was a waste of time because England are rubbish. And I also went to Barry Island in Wales to visit friends, which was good. So all in all, I have driven 634.5 miles at the moment, and we have achieved 29.6 mpg. And I always think when you've spent that much time in a car, you get a real flavour for whether you like it or not. And I must admit, I haven't got out of this car and thought, it's not for me, I don't like it. It's been a really good companion for those sorts of journeys. I mean, on the motorways, it's very pliant, it's very quiet. You feel a few, road imperfections along the way, but nothing too serious, nothing to put you off anyway. And it goes well enough. So the engine produces around 280 horsepower, I think it is, and it'll do 0 to 60 in 5.7 seconds, which is fine, and it's not market leading or anything like that, but then they've left a little bit back for the Quadrifoglio, because that does 0 to 60 in 3.8 seconds. So you want absolute Mad Max SUV performance, you've got to put your hand in your pocket. But this is the sportiest of the standard Stelvio lines. The Veloce, the models below are all rear-wheel drive. They're 2-wheel drive, front or rear, whereas this is 4-wheel drive. Not sure you necessarily want to take it farming or anything like that, but in terms of ride quality, it's very comfortable. You can get the kids in the back. It's an SUV, so the boot's big, and there's plenty of creature comforts up front. It's got the air conditioning, heated seats, which I haven't used because it's been almost 25 degrees at the moment, so been the hottest week of the year so far. So maybe air conditioned seats would have been a nice touch, but I mean, maybe they're on the options list, I don't know. But all in all, I've liked having this car. It's been really good for the journeys I've done. you know, covered a lot of mileage in it, and it's been very comfortable, and I've gotten quite well with it. And when you get out in this more country road setting, it bristles along quite nicely. And like I said, you know, you could kid yourself that you're driving something much smaller, and you do tend to forget that you are driving this absolutely massive SUV. So I mean, that's definitely a plus point. I guess it's an SUV for people who don't really want SUVs. I guess that's just the way the market's gone a little bit at the moment. People still want, you know, something that's fast and agility, but they want it to be massive, and I would suggest that Alfa have done a really good job in making this a sort of crossover from a saloon into that sort of 4x4 genre. So all in all, I've been quite impressed with it. I've enjoyed having it. It's been, you know, really good for the driving I've done this week. I think it's been a fair test of it. So if you were using it as a family run around, commuting, taking the kids to school, all that sort of stuff, and throwing in the occasional long journey, then yeah, this thing won't let you down. I've really liked having it. Thanks for watching this video. Hope you've enjoyed it. If you liked it, please hit like, please subscribe to the channel. We've got loads more coming up. We've got a Honda E next, we've got an Audi e-tron S, we've got a Caterham 7620 coming, we've got an Aston Martin DBX, an Aston Martin DBS, and a Ferrari Roma as well. So plenty coming up on the channel, plus a few more bits, I hope. So yeah, please hit subscribe, and hopefully see you soon. Thanks.